Massive Joe's fans, it's me, Jake again, episode number 3. Thanks for tuning in. It shows that you care, and that just warms my heart. So, today's episode is going to be a shoulder workout, shoulders and triceps. But before I get into that, I had on my Facebook page that I was just going to answer some questions if anybody had some questions, just to try to make these episodes a little bit more interesting for you guys, not just so you're seeing just me lifting weights all the time. So get a little bit of interaction from everybody else on Facebook and on the Massive Joe's page. So I've got some questions that some people have posted to me or to Massive Joe's, and I'll answer them for you guys as best as I can. So, okay, here we go. I got a question from, now these names are people's Facebook's names, so I don't know if it's their actual names, but I'll read them as they are. So I have a question from Alex Ben. So I'm not sure if that is his surname or if there's Alex and Ben. Well, here's to both of you. But okay, Alex Ben says, Jake, what's your advice on building big calves? Being one of the hardest muscles to grow, do you believe heavy and low reps or light and a lot of reps? Well, Alex, I don't think I'm the best person to ask for calf development because I don't really have the greatest calves. I've definitely been able to improve my calves, but I think, as everybody knows, calves are one of those muscle groups genetics play a huge part in it. You know, sometimes I'll be just driving my car along the road, and if I look and see just a cyclist on the side of the road and look at their calves, some of them have got phenomenal calves. So I think it's got to be genetics. Even truck drivers at work, sometimes we get the courier drivers and stuff that come in, and I'm like, man, have a look at the size of these guys' calves. They've never trained calves in their lives. So I think genetics plays a huge part. But in saying that, I've got terrible calves to begin with, and I've done everything to get them up. They've definitely improved. They're not where I want them to be, but they've definitely improved. And I think there's not really a set routine, you know, to get big calves. I continually change it. I always do. Sometimes I do really high reps, 25 to 30, with a lighter weight. Then I'll do low reps, between 6 to 8 reps, and then I'll do normal 12, 15. It really just depends. Different intensity techniques, shocking principles, all sorts of things like that. I don't think there's really for people that don't have great calves, I don't think there's really a one-size-fits-all calf training program. You've really got to mix it up and hit them with everything you got. So I can't really give you a direct answer on that one, Alex, but you know, that's what I think. That's my opinion on it anyway. Okay, moving on to the next question. His name is James Viz, I think, V-I-S, Viz. Well, let's go with that. He says, are you happy with NABBA and bodybuilding in Australia, or is it your long-term goal to move to America and become an IFBB pro like the top guys? Well, look, even, I know it's IFBB pro like the top guys, there's a lot of guys in NABBA that are fantastic bodybuilders that could probably do very well in IFBB, but they choose not to because, you know, they don't want to really mix it up. They don't want to live in America, and they don't want to go down that route. So I think it's a personal preference. I think IFBB, yes, to do well with the IFBB, you really do have to live in America. You know, there's shows every couple of weeks, there's guest pose appearances, there's opportunities, and you're just flying from place to place in the States. So it's easy, but to be a successful IFBB pro in Australia, you know, you have to be flying, you have to be traveling a lot out of Australia and all the time to the States. It's hard work. You know, I think Lee Priest, obviously one of our Aussie bodybuilders, one of the best IFBB pros, or the best IFBB pro that we've ever had. You know, he was living in the States ever since he was at a very young age, and he had a very successful career in doing that. But yeah, he lived there. So I think for me, James, to answer your question, I'm very happy with being in NABBA because I get to travel around the world, go to a lot of European countries, and I can do that living in Australia. I don't have to earn points to go into like a Mr. Olympia contest. If I was with the IFBB, I'm not saying that I'm that good to be in a Mr. Olympia, but if I was, then I'd have to be able to accumulate points and things to go into Mr. Olympia competition, and it'd be very hard to accumulate points doing one pro show that we have in Australia every year. So I hope that that answers your question there. Moving on, another question from Aaron Bobby Hancock. Aaron Bobby Hancock says, Jake, how long do you stretch before most workouts, and do you do anything pre-workout to get yourself warm and ready? This is a good question. I'm glad you asked this, because even in my gym, in my studio, I PT, personally train people, and a major thing that people miss out on is warm-ups and stretching. I think being in commercial gyms and seeing what everybody else does, not many people warm up. Most people will probably pick up the 12 kilo dumbbells if they're doing bench press, and then straight away they'll go straight in the 40 kilo dumbbells. So, that's a huge thing that I try to enforce and teach people when they come into my gym. So to answer your question, what I do, I always warm up my rotator cuffs. So I do external rotations. Look, I pretty much just I keep doing it until I feel that I'm ready to go. So rotator cuff exercises, I do little generalized warm up, side raises, front raises, rear delt. This is before anything upper body, just to get a little bit of blood in the whole entire, all of my upper body. I'll even do some triceps and stuff as well, and some biceps. But I won't stretch straight away. I'll normally do a couple of sets, and then I'll stretch. But even with stretching, I think you got to sort of be careful with stretching as well. I think as you warm up, you can probably get a little bit deeper into your stretches. You don't really want to just grab onto something and pull your chest as hard as you can. If it's a cold muscle, you don't want to do that. So yes, I do. I warm up with light weights, do a little circuit before I start, and I stretch as I get warm. So I hope that answers your question. So that's 3 questions I answered just for this video. Every video I'll answer a few questions. I've written down all of the questions that I've got so far. So if anyone else wants to inbox me questions and things that they want answered, I can answer them on future series of this series. So there you go. That's that. Now, so today's episode is going to be me training shoulders. So you guys will be able to see that in a minute. There's nothing else really to report to you guys. Not much has happened in a week. So, still just in the off season, obviously, eating a lot of food, trying to train as heavy and hard as possible. And that's really it. So look, at the end of the video, guys, subscribe if you can, so that you can just keep following me along. It'd be awesome. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Check out the shoulder and tricep workout that's coming up. See you in the next episode. Okay, here we go. Shoulders and triceps. Shoulders first. So here we go with presses. Getting Adam to be a good friend and pass me that dumbbell, because there's no way I'm getting it up. And I did probably 12 reps here. I believe I did 12 reps. This is one of my working sets. So I've already done warm-ups on probably the 12 kilo dumbbells, 22, 32, 42, and then I went straight to these 57 and a halves. I would have done the 60s, but they're broken, and I haven't finished my 70 kilo dumbbells yet. So hopefully when the 70 kilo dumbbells are done, hopefully I can get 8 reps. If I can't get 8 reps, then I'm not gonna film it. So there's probably no point doing any less than that. And then from there I moved on to side delts. So these are obviously very, very important, especially for a bodybuilder. I compete, so I want to try to get those side delts as round and capped as possible, to give the illusion that I'm much wider than I am on stage. So I did probably 5 sets on these dumbbell side raises. Just really pumped them up as much as I could. Rep ranges probably between 12 and 15. And then, as I said, because I'm trying to get trying to really focus on my side delts. So from there, excuse me, from there I moved on to a side cable, just to really isolate it. Obviously, cables are preferred when we want to be able to put a lot more tension on the muscle, because it never gets to relax when you use a cable. So I went all the way to failure with these, I think 8 to 10 repetitions, and then I did force negatives. So you can't do negatives with every exercise, but I find with some exercise it definitely works really well, and this is one of them. The side cable raises, after you've reached failure, then on the positive, then the negative, going really slow, doing super slow negatives, it's a great way to take it past failure. So I only did 3 sets there on each arm, because that's tough to do after doing all of those side raises. And then always after side, so I've done 2 side exercises, then I moved on to a rear delt movement. Now, I don't do always these cables. Sometimes I do dumbbells, sometimes I do the high cable pulleys, I lean on a bench, I just mix it up. Today I'm doing with the cables, no attachment, just grabbing onto the end of the cables and just doing a reverse fly. They're very basic, just trying to keep the tension on the muscle the whole time, and that's it. I must admit, gee, I'm Massive Joe's. Have a look at me. Am I repping the brand or what? Massive Joe's hat, singlet, shorts, gloves, and training straps. Oh my God. Anyway, let's do shrugs next. So you'll see with my shrugs, yes, I do them a little different. It looks a little bit funny. I'm trying to work my lower traps, only because for me personally, my traps, I already have a lot of upper traps, and I don't have really any middle to lower traps. And I think that looks great from all the back poses and rear double bicep, lat spread, all those shots. It looks great if that part of your traps develop. So that's the reason why I'm doing them like that. I'm trying to pull it back with my elbows and lean forward slightly to really try to squeeze that area of the traps, not just lifting straight up and down. And I did like 5 sets of that, just really squeezing it. And then that was it for shoulders. It was pretty hard and intense. So after I did that, I went over to the rope press down. And on the ropes, I find the rope is just a really good way for me to warm up my elbows. Because I find if I go straight into an overhead pressing like the one that I'm doing now, it feels really, my elbows feel raw, and it just doesn't feel good at all. So if I do like 5 sets of the rope, just really squeeze them, get some blood into the triceps, then move on to a pressing movement, compound movement like this, then I'm good to go. And I did 4 or 5 sets on that, as heavy as I could, for probably 8 reps. And I really like that exercise. Some days I have a bit of a sore tricep tendon, but as I said, the more that I warm up, the better it is, and I can go real heavy with that exercise. From that, I've gone over to, sometimes I would go over to a close grip bench press, but that day we went to just a straight bar. Well, not a straight bar, it's slightly cambered, but we did push downs on that. I find it to be very different to the rope. I get a good pump on it. It feels good. So I do that as well as part of my tricep workout. And then from there, I moved over to skull crushers or French press, or whatever you guys like to call it. And I just basically did about 5 sets of 8 to 10 there. And then this last set, I went to failure, and then I'll usually do some close grip stuff as well, just a superset at the end. But I didn't do this for every set. I just did it at the end, as many skull crushers as I could, and then I'll do as many close grip bench presses as I could. So that's really it for my shoulders and tricep workout. Basic stuff. I always do just basics, bars, dumbbells, all that sort of thing. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Hit the subscribe button. I know it's at the top of the screen there somewhere, so hit that. Make sure you do, and keep following all of the episodes if you guys are liking what I'm doing. If you're not, that's great. You can message Massive Joe's and tell them how much of a dick you think that I am. I really couldn't care less. So I'll see you all in the next episode.